Hello, welcome to the Craven Chronicles. It's your go-to podcast to discuss the highs, the lows, and everything in between supporting Fulham FC. Don't put your passports away just yet. Fulham's hunt for a European spot is well and truly on after Sunday's spectacular 3-2 victory over champions-elect Liverpool. Was this the best performance of the season so far? I'm John Harland, and Oscar O'Kane is joining me as ever to relive the action and look ahead to a massive game against Bournemouth next Monday. Mr. O'Kane.
Yes, Mr. Harland.
Talk to me. Let's get straight into it. Well,
Yeah.
how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, mate.
Good?
I'm good. How are you? How was your Brighton adventures?
Yeah, well, yeah,
Just
quickly
to
explain.
tell the audience,
Yeah,
of course.
I don't want to, go into it too much, but I didn't go to the game on Sunday. I was in Brighton
That's disgraceful.
doing a little jog, a little 42-kilometre jog. I was a bit annoyed because the game was originally on Saturday.
Yep.
And it got moved to Sunday, so I couldn't go.
Yeah.
But yeah, great day in the sunshine. I want to hear all about the day out from your perspective. We should get straight into it. I mean, it's I had a spring in my step.
Mm-hmm.
I've had it yesterday and today.
Yeah.
How was the game? How was the day out?
It was absolutely unbelievable. I mean, I went to the ground with, let's be fair, pretty low expectations.
We
It's
both
Liverpool.
did, didn't
I think in our predictions we both said Fulham haven't got a hope in hell. Liverpool rock up. I was watching Liverpool warm up as well. Van Dijk, Salah, they're all in front of me, so I'm just pinging it around. I just thought, oh God, we're going to be in for a long afternoon here. But I mean, and I was, and I wasn't expecting a lot from the game. I mean, I was looking ahead to the other results we'd had on the weekend. I thought they were quite favourable for Fulham heading into Sunday's game, and especially when McAllister opened the scoring, I thought, oh Jesus, it's going. And also, if you haven't watched McAllister's goal, but I'm sure probably a lot of the listeners have, it was an absolute belter. I thought we're going to be in for a long run, but it was an unbelievable performance from Marcus Silva's men. I think it was the performance of the season. We are the only team to beat Liverpool at home this season. It's also our first victory against Liverpool at home since, can you believe it, 2011, Clint Dempsey scored an 86th minute winner. I remember it. Danny Murphy hit a long shot. Rayner spills it, Dempsey swoops in, smashes it in. And also, quite funnily, I just did a bit more research into it. Jay Spearing, who remembers old Jay Spearing, got sent off for Liverpool for a reckless challenge on good old Moussa Dembele. So, look, our first win against them in 14 years at home. Isn't that that's unbelievable?
As you were saying, can you believe that? I was like, yes, I can believe it. But having said that, our record against Liverpool, especially under Marco Silva, it's actually pretty good. And even though we haven't beaten them, it was the first time Marco Silva's beaten Liverpool as manager, it almost doesn't feel like that, because the performances have been there. I remember last season at Anfield, 3-2 up in the 86th minute, somehow lose 4-3, which I think we'll get onto later. I thought that was going to happen again. We were holding on a little bit. But yeah, you're right. Fantastic result. And yeah, I think it's a credit to Silva's job on Liverpool. I think they, even under Klopp, Salah especially struggled. But look, should we dive into we'll go through the action. There's a lot of action to get through. We're going to do it as quick as we can. There's some talking points.
And most of it in the first half as well. All down our end.
Well, the first incident was Konate.
Yeah.
I don't know what he was doing. He tried to do a little turn. Andreas Pereira snatched the ball off him, passes it to Rodrigo, gets wiped out, GBH on him from Kelleher, and then Muniz gets sort of bodied by Van Dijk. 2 potential penalties. I think the Van Dijk one, I think that's a 50-50. But the Kelleher one, I'm not sure why that wasn't a penalty. Yeah,
I couldn't believe it. I mean, we were watching it in slow time. I thought even before Konate gave the ball away, Curtis Jones was sort of running back. He had quite a lot of opportunities to sort of play the ball into Szoboszlai, into the Gravenberch. He sort of opted to sort of just like keep dribbling back, gives it to Konate. Muniz is on him like Pereira's on him like a flash, to be honest, in terms of the pressing. He just dilly-dallied on the ball. AP nips in. Kelleher runs out, doesn't get any of the ball, completely takes out Pereira. Pereira's already hit the ball before Kelleher's got there. Then it goes to Muniz. Now, to be fair, I didn't think that was a pen when Muniz fell down. I thought he was slightly looking for it. I also thought the way that Pereira crossed the ball in, there's just no way that Muniz was going to score that ahead of Van Dijk. Like, Van Dijk was already straight on him. So I didn't think that was. But I definitely thought the AP one was a pen. I don't know how the referee didn't pull it back. And there was a there was a PGMOL statement on the screen.
Oh, brilliant.
Saying that they felt that Kelleher tried to play the ball. That was the explainer when we looked at it at the cottage. And I thought to myself, did he? I mean, he was nowhere near the ball. I mean, AP had hit it. It doesn't even matter. Yeah. He takes him out, doesn't win into the ball. It's a clear penalty. And, you know, that was... And I thought to myself, and actually, especially when McAllister scored, I thought, Jesus Christ, it should be 1-1 because we should have had a penalty. But... I mean, to be fair, Konate, Liverpool defensively, that set the precedence for what was then going to be a disaster-class defensive first half for the Reds. I
don't like using this argument, but I do think it's true. If that was at the other end, it's like Leno on McAllister. Is that given? I don't know.
Big six bias here, John. Do you think? Well,
just
you know.
out there. But look, you alluded to it. What is it about Fulham and Alexis McAllister scoring screamers? He scored an absolute banger last season. It was Anfield, wasn't it?
Yeah,
last season. 4 bangers, quite frankly. God. But that McAllister one was the pick of the bunch. And he does it again. You know, we could look, could Berger get tighter? McAllister nips it past Berger. I don't think it's not his fault. And then just lets it rip.
Yeah.
It's an unbelievable strike.
It's one of those ones where I'm not going to criticise Sanderberg. I'm not going to criticise the defence. I can't criticise Leno. It was one of those ones you just have to sort of clap and go, that was an unbelievable strike. And what is it? Also, just recently, what is it about us conceding bangers? Eze scored an absolute scream, and now McAllister. What's going on? We just keep actually. I even remember Cunha's goal earlier in the season. That was an absolute beauty. So I mean, to be fair, as a neutral, you go to the game potentially and you're thinking, well, at least I've seen a couple of screamer goals. But God, I have to say, McAllister probably was Liverpool's best player. I would have said over the course of the game, I thought he was excellent.
Underrated
He's such
player.
a tidy player. Yeah. I think what's really impressive about him is for his height. He's so good physically, so strong physically against the likes of the Sanderbergs and the Lukic's of the game. But it was a wonderful strike from McAllister. And actually, then there was a period Liverpool kind of knocking the ball around, a lovely bit of interplay. Szoboszlai was knocking it around, and I thought, oh, wow, we're in for the long one. But then everything changed, John. It all changed.
It did. Just on, it was 14 minutes. Yeah. Well, I was going to say, I was just trying to thought that. I was going to say, you said, all you can do is stand up and applaud. Well, unfortunately, a few Liverpool fans in the home end
did
stand up and applaud and got escorted out of the ground.
What do you think about that? I mean, you've been quite vocal about that, haven't you, in terms of away fans sitting in the home end. I mean, I don't know why. I mean, I understand, like, if you can't get a ticket for the away end, I get that. You could sit with the home fans. But if you sit with the home fans, don't celebrate, don't make a noise, and just be quiet, just keep yourself to yourself. I don't understand why they had to all pipe up.
It's common sense, isn't it? Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people watching, listening, I've done it. I've got in the wrong end before. I've done it, but then you sit on your hands, and you see these people wearing bloody Liverpool scarves and hats. Like, what are you doing? What are you thinking? It's the arrogance of it.
Yeah, I actually remember a few years ago when Watford were in the Prem. Me and Dad got a ticket, and we worked out we were sitting right in the Vicarage Road end. So we had to go to the shop, because I'm in my full Fulham kit. Oh, really? We had to go to the shop and I had to buy a Troy Deeney Watford shirt to blend in the crowd. It was genuinely... And then we lost... we lost 4-1, got relegated. So that was just like a double terrible day.
I love the way you phrased that. It's like, I had to get a Troy Deeney Watford shirt. That was the only option available to you.
Grim. Seriously grim.
Sorry. But look, let's get on to the 14 minutes of magic. Mm-hmm. I want to talk through each of the goals. I think there's different narratives with each of them. Sessegnon, Ryan Sessegnon.
Yep.
Oh, it was fantastic. We wanted him back in the starting 11.
We did.
Marco listens to the pod.
He must do.
I know he does.
I mean, honestly, mate, we actually said Sessegnon should start. He deserves his chance. Look at what happened on the weekend.
It was vintage Sessegnon. I was saying, we're watching the highlights, and you can't even see him in shot. And he just comes out of nowhere, and then as you pointed out as well, the ball's kind of bouncing at knee height, and he kind of wraps it around with enough power and precision. It's unbelievable. I'm all for this René Sessegnons, if you will. Come up with that.
I like that. That's very good. That's very good.
Third party podcast. Yeah.
No, do you know what? And I mean, we'll get onto his overall performance a bit later. But I said to my dad, the one player I'd like to see score today would be Sessegnon. He's got his start. Silva's given him his trust. He's given him his chance. And I mean, we'll get onto Robertson in a bit. But he tore Robertson to shreds the entire game until he was substituted in the second half. He got a great ovation as well, Sessegnon. I mean, he worked his absolute socks off, running back to help out defensively, helping out Castagna. And yeah, the finish, as we say, It wasn't the best goal that we scored of the three, but it definitely was, at least, I mean, Iwobi's one was a bit jammy, but the Sessegnon goal was fantastic. And look, fair play to him. He's come back to the club. He was a bit in and out of the team, wasn't even starting FA Cup games. Gets into the lineup, gets a couple of goals, then he gets his big moment against the best team in the country, and he totally delivered. And long may it continue for Ryan, because we all love him, don't we? He's one of our own, and we want him to do well.
Yeah, and it's interesting as well. He did an interview with Match of the Day 2, sort of saying how at Spurs he was used as a kind of left back and left wing back, and he's saying, no, I'm best in the forward positions, which I think even when he signed, we weren't entirely sure where he was going to play. I think with that goal, he's shown, no, I belong in the front three. Yeah,
and actually, on that note as well, I saw another interview that he did on a podcast, and he was talking about, so his first start at Tottenham was under Antonio Conte, and he was given his chance against NS Mura in the Conference League.
Great side,
fantastic Slovakian team. I mean, they must be quality. Conference League football, though. He made a start. He was eager to impress, and I didn't actually know this happened to him. He got sent off after 30 minutes. And that was his first start under Conte. He got 2 yellow cards in 30 minutes. Tottenham, I think, went on to just about scrape it 2-1. But I think after that, Conte never really picked him again. He'd had like the worst possible debut. I mean, it's like the complete opposite of what happened against Liverpool. That the worst ever start in a Tottenham kit, he gets sent off. And then I think Conte never really trusted him again. So he spoke a lot about his difficulties there. So it's so nice seeing Ryan coming back to the club and now kicking on, really. It's wonderful to witness.
Yeah. And then the next goal. You mentioned Robertson.
Yeah.
Blunders. I don't know what he's trying to do. It's the weirdest decision. Tries to sort of spray a pass. I remember this is niche. I got taught when I was playing in school football when I was like 8 or something.
Robertson needs to get his notes out.
Yeah. My coach said, look, there's like one thing you do. You never pass across goal. That's what he told me.
Yeah.
And Robertson clearly didn't get told the same information.
I don't even know who he was trying to hit. I don't even know who he was trying to aim at. It was like a sort of like a sort of a hit and hope, really. He should have just gone back to Kevin Keller. I don't know what he was thinking, but
straight to Iwobi though.
Straight to Iwobi, and actually Carragher's analysis of that goal was really interesting. And something that I think we should talk about a little bit with Fulham, the way that they set up in the midfield, it meant that every time that Van Dijk got the ball, there was no way for him to do his usual diagonal right foot cross. They had to force him on his weaker left foot the entire time, which meant that he constantly had to spread the ball to Robertson. And I think it was the way that Fulham set up with Sanderberg, Lukic, Pereira and that pressing midfield machine. It cut off all of Van Dijk's options to give it to Gravenberch or to spread it to Salah. He had to give it to Robertson. And that was, I think, one of the primary reasons why Fulham, in that 40-minute period, just blitzed them, because Van Dijk, Kanate couldn't find any of the midfielders. Fulham had cut all their options off at the source. And so I think, of course, Robertson made the big error, but Fulham made him have that error through their pressing style, which I thought was really interesting way he broke it down.
And then, there was a good bit of analysis from Carragher there, And then Iwobi takes a shot, gets deflected, comes straight back to him, sort of dribbling a bit, goes onto his left, takes a shot. It wasn't the greatest shot in the world, and then it sort of nicks off Robertson straight into the back of the net.
If we're being honest, that would have been a catching practice for Kelleher, if we're being realistic.
Yeah,
but Robertson, I mean, imagine not only giving the ball away, then running, and then not winning your header, your 50-50 header with Muniz, to then not only then press Iwobi and be at fault, it comes off him and goes in the goal. It's like a triple error from Robertson. And I think a lot of us, all Liverpool fans on social media, I think we've spoken about this a lot on the pod. I think we actually said this is a way Fulham can try and get at Liverpool. Jones and Robertson, who had a torrid afternoon, especially in that first 45 minutes. I think his time in the sunshine now for Liverpool is so finished. And you look at Robinson compared to Robertson's performance, it was like chalk and cheese.
Yeah, and then we wanted Iwobi to get stuck on Jones at right back, which he did. And it's nice to see Iwobi getting among the goals again, because I think he was so prolific for a period at the end of 2024, dried up a little bit. So it's good. I think it's good for his confidence.
Absolutely.
Speaking of goal contributions, what an assist he got!
Oh, fantastic! He so meant that, didn't he? He so meant it.
We'll get on to the third goal, the pick of the bunch, to top off a absolute blitz of goals from Fulham. It's sort of, I think it's from a corner, isn't it, from a set piece, and then it kind of goes out to Iwobi. Pinpoint pass to I'm joking. It was
Zidane-esque from Iwobi there.
It was an absolute hoof back into the mix zone, and what a touch from Rodrigo! What a touch!
Does it go down as one of the goals of the season, just for the touch
for Fulham or in the Premier League? I don't think it'll be nominated for goal of the month. I don't think it will. It won't be up there. Like I don't think it was good as McAllister's.
Yeah, but the touch and to get it past Van Dijk, and it is Van Dijk.
Yeah. Fulham goal of the season, possibly.
It could be up there.
It's
and then the finish as well was underrated. I thought squeeze it through Kelleher's legs. Do you know what I mean? It was Muniz. I thought Muniz, his all-round play, I couldn't believe it. I've never seen Van Dijk have a more difficult afternoon in a Liverpool shirt for a very, 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 very long time. He made Van Dijk look like absolute pudding, and Konate was hopeless as well. Just run. I mean, Muniz was. I mean, I said actually that I think I said we should start Raul, didn't I?
We both wanted Raul to start, yeah.
But I mean, look, Marco proved us wrong. Muniz, he's got that grit, isn't he? He's a complete pressing machine, and he's so erratic that it just caused Van Dijk an absolute headache, really.
I think for when you've got Konate and Van Dijk as a back two as well, they'll bully the best strikers in the world. So having someone like Muniz, a bit of a live wire, just to be physical and match them physicality, which is exactly what happened.
Muniz has done more in the first half against Van Dijk than Haaland has in his whole City career. I'm just saying. I'm just going to put it out there. I mean,
levels to the
game. What has Haaland done against Van Dijk, really? And then Muniz comes on, and actually Muniz scored at Anfield as well. So that's something to take into account. So he loves a goal against Liverpool, doesn't he, old Rodrigo? But no, look, it was the thing I couldn't. I mean, I thought when the goal went in, I celebrated, obviously. But loads of Liverpool players were running to the officials. I thought maybe there was an offside or maybe Muniz had fouled Van Dijk. But obviously then we watched the replays and it was like, no, it was just an unbelievable first touch and a great finish. I actually thought, I said this to you before we go on, even when he spun Van Dijk, I thought it's Muniz. He could hit this, and he's so erratic. I think maybe he probably I feel like he might have got so excited that he's beaten Van Dijk, he's then going to hit it in Rose Z. But fantastic finish, and and actually 3-1 up, and it was fully deserved.
Exactly.
Really.
Yeah. I was saying to you though, I know exactly what you mean, but he's actually this season he's done quite a few cute finishes. I think in the one against Chelsea and the one against Tottenham, where he sort of like stroked them in. It's a side switch game we haven't seen.
Do you think this result ranks higher than the Chelsea result? I was thinking about this coming into the studio.
I think because of the context of the Chelsea game, we hadn't won on the bridge since
true.
The 50s or something like that.
Yeah, something insane. Yeah,
I think that one will go down as the best result of the season, no matter what happens, especially now we're out of the FA Cup. But in terms of calibre of opposition and Liverpool's credentials, they've only lost once all season. They haven't lost in the Premier League. They haven't lost in the Premier League since game week 4, 7 months ago against Forest. They haven't lost away from home. So I think in terms of performance, I think it's the best performance of the season.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure. But look, second half kicks off to a bit nervy. Jota through.
Oh my God!
I was thinking this is going in, and then what a save!
I was thinking. You remember we've talked about like we're a bit slow in the second half, and Liverpool are predominantly excellent in the second half. Literally 30 seconds in, Jota gets that chance. I'm thinking, oh my God, we're in for a bloody long 45 minutes here because he was already in. Salah, it was like the only thing that he did actually the whole game. Great little pass in. But a fantastic save from Lenny. He sort of closed down the angle, gets his right hand to it, tips it wide. And Jota, in that position, having scored against Everton last weekend, you'd think he'd find the bottom corner. But it was a brilliant, brilliant save. And then, I think, to be honest with you, after that, John, there was just a period of it was a bit... Liverpool had a lot of the ball, but again, not really sideways football. Nothing really cutting edge. And he made a couple of changes, which I didn't think paid off. I mean, I will say, obviously, Fulham fan, he got a terrible reception when he came up. But Elliott, he was good. He did make things happen. I think Liverpool lacked a bit of a spark. I think he put Jones back. He put Bradley right back, put Jones in midfield, put Elliott in midfield. And it gave Liverpool a bit more of a spark, just from a creative standpoint. But it was... and then obviously Diaz comes on, and then he made that 3-2. Defensively for that goal, I'm not that bothered about it. I thought it was just a great, really excellent touch from Bradley. Just a quick one bang, gives it to Diaz. Kind of reminded me, weirdly, of the goal that McAllister scored against Real Madrid, where Bradley picks up the ball on the edge. It's just a really, really quick, incisive pass to McAllister. He just gets his shot off before Abassi could come in, or in the respective Real Madrid, I think it was Asensio. But I think defensively, I can't really criticise for that goal, really, for being honest.
I agree with you. Bradley doing like an underlapping run, which is he's a good player. I think if Trent goes, I think they've got a capable replacement there, ready-made replacement, and it's similar to the McAllister goal, like in a different sense, where you can pick holes until the cows come home. But I think it's good.
It's just a great goal. Yeah.
Oh my God! And then when Elliott hits the crossbar, My cranium orbiting Jupiter.
Oh my God.
Do you know? Can you imagine if that got in?
I was right behind it where we were sitting, and when he hit the ball, I thought, "Oh my God, it's gone in off the crossbar." It was one of those ones. It felt like it was just going to dip. But yeah, and obviously Harvey Elliott, pantomime villain, if he found the back of the net, just the Fulham fans. But yeah, look, and then obviously Mohamed Salah. We've got to talk about him. He was rubbish. That was again Robinson. I mean, we have a great stat about that. Mo Salah, no shots on target. And he failed to beat Robinson in both games, Fulham, Liverpool, one at Anfield and the Cottage. I think that is an amazing stat. Shows you how great Robinson has matured, I think, defensively. We always talk about his going forward, he's great. But defensively, I think he's massively matured. And Mohamed Salah was... I mean, I can't... The only word I can say was he was totally dreadful. And I was amazed that Slot didn't take him off. You know, I know Salah is the big player. He is the star and he can make anything happen. But he was so bad, I thought, surely Chiesa... when he comes off the bench, I think he's going to take Mohamed off because he did nothing the whole game.
Smith-Rowe-esque performance.
Yeah. Whoa. No, to be fair, probably, yes, true.
I don't think it's not a coincidence that Salah always has a quiet game against Fulham, and it's not a coincidence. The way Silva sets up, the way he utilises Robinson, absolutely. Few more talking points from the game. Fulham's record against Liverpool, we touched on that a little bit. It's really good. It's Silva's first win against Liverpool as well. It's a bit of a bogey team for them. I know it's the first win in a while against Liverpool, but we all seem to turn up against them.
Yeah.
And it's again.
I really love it if Liverpool ended the season and didn't lose another away game, so we could say we were the only team to beat Liverpool at home this season, because it's just a nice little stat for the club. But also, I mean, the wider context of that result as well, you have to say. I mean, we headed into this being like, you just write this one off, you move on to Bournemouth. But we picked up 3 points. I mean, a draw would have been a great result as well. Yeah. Although on the balance of 90 minutes, I think we definitely deserve to get all the 3 points. But it's a fantastic result heading into the Bournemouth game. You're part of the Fulham team. We've had a couple of really bad results recently. You beat Liverpool to a top of the league. I mean, the confidence that you'd get from that kind of result heading into the biggest stretch of our season. And I mean, I saw this MNF piece Craig Bellamy was on talking about who's going to race for the Champions League. I'm not saying Fulham are going to get in the Champions League, but I looked at all the teams that had to in their fixtures. You know, we've got Bournemouth, we've got Chelsea, we've got Villa, we've got all these teams that we're kind of fighting in and around. And if we pick up a couple of great results, it could be a very, very special season for the club.
Well, the trend continues of points against sides, like picking up points against sides above us.
Yeah.
Versus losing points against sides below us. It's exactly the same. Little self-plug, if I may.
Yes, of course.
An article I did for Fulhamish talking about Fulham after the international break.
Mm-hmm.
I was interested. I just did some digging, went through, there's been 4 international breaks, went through each one. And after the international break, we haven't won the 2 games after each 4, but we've now won the 3rd game.
Yep.
Third consecutive game.
That's mental.
I've phrased that terribly, but after all 4 international breaks, we win the 3rd game. Yeah. Which is, I thought it was quite interesting. But it kind of sums up our season in a way, the fact that we can get these amazing results against the top sides. Yeah. Which will be interesting to see how we'll get onto the Bournemouth bit. It'll be interesting to see how that goes, because they're on best form. But is there anything else you want to touch on?
The last thing I wanted to say, and I want to give him a shout out because he didn't get in amongst the goals and he didn't, etc. Sander Berg was absolutely magnificent, I have to say. I mean, he was incredible. I think that was the best performance I've ever seen him put in a Fulham shirt. I don't have the individual statistics, but I guarantee you that in terms of winning the ball back, ball interceptions, tackles, dribbles, Sander Berg probably was number 1. I thought over the entire game. He was an absolute rock. I know we've praised Lukic a lot. Of course, Lukic has been outstanding, incredible this season. But Sander Berg, I thought that was his best game in a Fulham shirt. Apart from the McAllister goal, although I wouldn't even say that was his fault.
No, I don't.
He was so tidy. And actually, when you look at the goals that we scored, Sander Berg was the sort of the build-up play before the moment happened. The way that he sort of broke through Liverpool's midfield. I mean, Gravenberch had a torrid time against Sanderberg. Szoboszlai was all right, but he didn't really do too much. I mean, Berg just kept knocking him off the ball, interceptions, really good at holding the ball under pressure. Even when Liverpool tried to press him, he'd sort of spin away, play it to Pereira, we'd break their midfield line. I thought he was absolutely brilliant. Never gave the ball away, brilliant attitude, great defensively, and look, long may it continue. 20 million, as we said, from Burnley, and he's only 26. I mean, it's a fantastic signing.
I've mentioned this in a previous episode, but we haven't been able to see the side of his game because he's played for terrible relegation fodder. So actually seeing him in a team that's in the upper echelons of the table, he's really good on the ball. And you're right to pick him out. But someone I wanted to touch on as well, who got man of the match, was Seabass. Calvin Bassey. I haven't done a lukewarm take in a while.
Let's hear it.
I'm pleased in the comments, or you just please shoot me down if you disagree with this. I think losing Bassey would be a bigger loss than Robinson. I think we're seeing Robinson's best season, and I think a lot of that is down to Bassey being unbelievable, kind of covering defensively on that left-hand side. And look, that might be bordering on a hot take, but I guess what I'm trying to say is
that's a hot take.
I guess what I'm trying to say is Calvin Bassey has been unbelievable, and he got man of the match. Great performance.
I agree. I think Bassey is amazing. I think Robinson's a bigger loss because of what he gives you going forward. I think that, of course, if you take Bassey out of the team, and you put your favourite mate Diop in that spot. Diop is no Bassey. He hasn't got the pace, hasn't got the legs, hasn't got the strength. I think, in my opinion, I think it's a bigger blow if Robinson goes. I just think that what he has given us going forward and defensively this season is more important than what Bassey has done. And I'm not saying that Bassey is like a typical player. I don't think there's actually many centre-backs that play like Bassey. I think the only one I can think of in a left centre-back role is like Murillo, in terms of like both strong, both quick, both like to sort of gallivant forward sort of randomly. And I think like if you lost Bassey, I do think there are other left-sided centre-backs out there with pace, good on the ball, who Fulham could kind of recruit. I'm not saying we'd sign Murillo, no chance. But I think there's others around Europe who I would say. I think there's not many fullbacks, I would say, in European football that are like Antonee Robinson, especially this season. We've looked at the pieces and the articles and the statistics behind him and his resurgence in the last 3 years. He's actually clear of many of the best fullbacks like Alphonso Davies that we laud about, in terms of European perspective. So I get your point. I think Bassey is amazing. I think we lose him, he's a blow. Not over Robinson for me. I think just what he has done, especially this season. I mean, the number of assists he's got is just an absolute joke, and I think he's developed his game so well. And yeah, I mean, look, to be honest with you, after that performance against Liverpool, I bet they'll be thinking twice about Kirkes now after that. It's a bit of a like, oh, he's played so well, but I don't want him to play so well that Liverpool want to try and nab him now.
Well, let us know in the comments. Am I chatting out of my backside?
You are. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, let us know. Do you think who'd be the biggest loss this season? Probably is Robinson, but I thought that was
absolutely.
I just wanted to get a little lukewarm take in there.
Yeah, it's got to be done. It's got to be done.
And then finally on the Liverpool game, then we'll move on to Bournemouth. I don't know. I just want to have a little rant on Van Dijk.
Go for it, mate.
I just think he gets away with too much. I really think he gets away with too much. Like
really?
He elbowed, I think it was Anderson. He just elbows him in the face at one point.
A lot of centre-backs. Look at Milenkovic. He loves doing that, though.
He gets away with so much. And then Liverpool fans like whinge and cry and moan when they don't get decisions their way. And then their star boy, not star boy, their captain.
Their veteran.
Their veteran is doing that every week, but hey, no, that's alright. Maybe that's my agenda.
God, that's another hot take from Haaland here.
That's tepid. That's a tepid take.
I think Van Dijk can get away with it at times, but my God, he is just sensational. I think calmness personified. I also think a lot of centre-backs get away with it. Jesus, you look at bloody Levi Colwill. He gets away with it most weeks. I think even Romero, Van de Ven. I mean, a lot of these centre-backs do get away with this sort of nasty challenges. It's because our VAR is so incompetent that everyone keeps getting away with things. But yeah, I would say, and the way we have said on this podcast, quite reactionary. He's had a bad game, so maybe we're just reacting because he's had a bad game. But I think over the course of the season, though, Van Dijk, he is a different class.
I think he's been the best centre back in the Premier League for the last God knows how long, last half a decade at least. He's one of the best Premier League defenders of all time, in my opinion. But I'm just saying, some of his off the ball antics, I think because he's Van Aura. He's got that.
Yeah.
He has got an aura about him, hasn't he?
Definitely.
I just think he doesn't really get talked about as much as, say, Romero. I don't know, mate. Look, that's
No. I
it's
think his position. I think Romero's nowhere near as good as Van Dijk. I think in terms of his positioning, Van Dijk, he can get away with more. I think that's one of the best qualities about him. His positioning is just absolutely world class. He's always in the right place at the right time, anticipating things. Obviously, not against good old Rodrigo Muniz, but overall over the course of the season, he's been outstanding. I think as well, Liverpool talks have progressed. I think he is going to sign a new contract probably before the end of the season, which will be a huge boost for them. But I have to say that was probably Van Dijk's worst performance of the season by quite a clear distance, for being honest.
But look, that win teases up very nicely for a game at the Vitality Stadium.
Oh yes,
next Monday night under the lights. You're going.
I am going, mate.
Taking your mother.
I'm taking the mad train. She hasn't been to a Fulham game in over 2 years, so and also we're going to be in the countryside anyway, and we're going to be near there. And I thought, well, yeah, definitely, I might as well get a ticket. And she's excited. And actually, having beaten Liverpool, I'm now very excited to go to this game because they're a European challenger, and if we get a positive result there, we'll just have to see. Although I know that you have your opinion on what could happen on Monday night,
we'll get to that.
But we will get to that. But look, Bournemouth, you have to say, recently, bit of a drop off in form, really. West Ham 2-2. I mean, this West Ham team, are they that much? Not really. They have dropped quite a lot of points. Obviously, dumped out of the FA Cup by City, which actually surprised me. I thought they'd get past City at home. Have got a good home record though. Yeah, it has to be said with Bournemouth, and they've got some. Jesus, they've got some players on their side I'd love to have at Fulham. I mean, you look at Evan Ills, you look at Sessegnon. I mean, they've got some quality, seriously good players. But it's going to be, I think Bournemouth and Fulham, it's always been a good game. It's always, I'd be shocked if it was like a 0-0. There'd be a couple of goals in it. But look, we head down to that game on Monday knowing a win would really seriously put us in massive contention for Europa League football, I think.
Well, look, I'll tee it up for you. They're 10th, the 8th in the table. Fulham have moved up to 8th on 48 points. Bournemouth, they were in the top 6-5 at one point, but they haven't won since the 15th of February. 4 losses and 2 draws in the league, that is, since then. But yeah, look, if they win, they'll move above us in goal difference.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on here. Like Brighton are in 9th, below us, but they're above us. No, they're below us, aren't they? In 9th.
Yeah.
Playing Leicester. So that'll probably a win. And Villa, who are above us, playing Southampton. So that hasn't really gone our way. So we could really do with a win.
Yeah.
I think at least a point. I think a point would be good. Obviously, depending on how the game goes. But
they are the 2 worst teams I've ever seen in the Premier League. Leicester and Southampton are absolutely shocking.
Did you watch the game last night?
They are so bad.
I think I heard this right. They're the first Premier League side to lose 8 home games in a row without scoring.
Yep. In history.
Imagine.
That's mental.
If that was Fulham, I'd be genuinely
Scott Parker be in charge. I'd
be genuinely considering not going.
Yeah. I'd sack it off.
I'd
sack it. Imagine going 8 consecutive home games you don't see a team score
without scoring.
Yeah, that's an English record. That's across the top 4 or 5 divisions of English football. That's never happened before. I get it's Newcastle, I get it, but mate, Leicester are absolute shambles of a football club. Anyway, I feel sorry for them because obviously I think all of us English fans, we have a soft spot for them, but they're dreadful.
Unless you're like a Forest fan, I think everyone apologises.
But no, you make a good point. Our rivals are playing weak teams, so we need to pick up valuable 3 points if we can.
Exactly. But the table is shaping up very nicely for an exciting finish. I think it will go down to the wire. In terms of, so they're not on the best form. Some of their players aren't on the best form. Sessegnon, no goals in 8. Atara, no goals in 6. That's in the Premier League. Evan Nielsen, 4 goals in 4.
Yeah, he's good. He's danger man. Yeah. But I mean, as you said, mate, Seabass, he'll probably have him on lockdown, won't he?
My favourite player, yeah.
Let's hope so.
Interesting little narrative. Kirkes v Robinson.
Yeah.
I think it is the Liverpool shop window.
Richard Hughes will be in attendance for this game, probably, won't he?
I think Liverpool will go for Kirkes because I think they're very similar attributes, but Kirkes is much younger.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of hoping, and also I'm hoping that if Ange goes for Tottenham, I think they might go for Iriola. So maybe over Silva, that is. So we might get away on 2 fronts there. Be interesting to see, but what do you make of that as a little narrative? Yeah,
I think if we're being honest, I think this season Robinson I would probably make a case saying overall he's been better than Kerkez. I would say this though, Kerkez defensively is better than Antonee Robinson. There's no doubt about that. In terms of Kerkez, he doesn't really quite... Him and Robinson are similar in terms of the overlapping runs, but I think there's more of an emphasis in Iraiola's system for the fullbacks to be more defensive. I think Kerkez is a class player, and as you say, his age... I think he's valued at 45 million. I think if I was a Liverpool, if I'm Richard Hughes, 45 million for 22-year-old Kerkez, I'd probably snap him up.
22.
He's 22,
and
isn't he?
Robinson, like 20?
Robinson's 27. And so I just think, or I might be 28, but I think in all of those factors, ball knowledge, love that. I think all of those factors pulled in together, I think that Kerkez... I think he even said in an interview, it'd be one of my dreams to move to Liverpool. I don't think if Antonee Robinson went to Liverpool, former Everton academy product, I don't know, is that going to sit well? I don't know, the old Carragher, the old Carragher situation there. But yeah, I think Kerkez is a good player. I think Sessegnon, he's done brilliantly well. He's going to have a tough one against Kerkez. Kerkez is a level above Andy Robertson, I think.
Yeah. Let's talk about how the game will pan out. It was a really thrilling game, I thought, in the first fixture at Craven Cottage, 2-2. I thought Bournemouth did really well to play against Marco Silva. They frustrated Fulham a lot. They kind of absorbed the pressure. Yeah. And I've got to say they're one of the best off the ball sides I've seen this season.
Yeah.
At the Cottage at least. The way they worked in packs to close down the Fulham players, we couldn't really cope with it at times. I think probably a draw was probably a good result in the end. I know it was a late heartbreak.
Watara, I remember it.
Yeah, exactly.
Good. Not good.
But look, it's at the Vitality, so I wonder if they'll maybe bring the game to us more, which we know favours us. Absolutely.
I also think, maybe one thing that might come into our advantage is Bournemouth need to win this game more than we need to win. Obviously, we both need to win it, but I think there's more of an emphasis on Iraola. It's like they've had a great season, but the last 3 weeks, a great season is slightly petering out. They're slightly, their eyes off the ball, they're out of the FA Cup. It's like a sort of domino effect, and I think they look at this Fulham game and go, we desperately need to get 3 points. I'll be interested to see how they set up. As you said, they've got a couple of injuries. Christie, I think, is a massive loss. He makes that midfield tick. I thought when he was at the Cottage, he totally... the way he moved the ball around, he's like I hate to say this, I love TC. He's like a better Tom Kearney in the respect of his left... He's only left-footed, really, but the way he sort of conducts and moves the ball around...
He's been a revelation this season.
He has been incredible. I remember him at Celtic. I remember he was unbelievably good at Celtic. And under Iraola. And I think even before, he was a little bit of a bit part player, and then Iraola comes in and he makes Christie one of his sort of main... He kind of builds the midfield centre around him. But look, Bournemouth have still got a hell of a team. They've got a new training facility as well. There's things off the pitch that are moving in the right direction for their football club, which is nice to see. Good old Bournemouth. It's amazing that they're in the Premier League. Just anyway, it's extraordinary. But I think looking at the injury list that they've got, the added pressure that they need to win the game, I think that does suit us. I'm going to the game. I'm very excited. I think it's going to be I think it's going to be like an end-to-end sort of slobber knock. It's going to be back to front, end to end. We're going to see how it ends up. But I do think that defensively, Bournemouth, I don't think that they're all that. I think we can definitely get at them. I think they've got a couple of injury issues there as well. But I think for Sessegnon, he's going to need a bit more support when he comes up against Kerkez. And I actually wonder, Kenny Tette's now returned from injury. I wonder if Silva might look for Kenny Tete. I think defensively, probably he'd say he's better than Castagna. So if I'm partnering up against Semenyo, I think I'd rather have Kenny Tete on him than Castagna.
Interesting, yeah. They have conceded 2 goals, exactly 2 goals in the last 5 in the league. So that's an interesting one. How would you set up then? With that all being said, I guess it's always kind of 2 questions. It's how would you set up and how do you think Marco would set up?
Yeah. Well, to be fair, having said that, the way that we've said it, he's set up like that. So we are the Messiah. What can I say? Get us in the backroom staff, Marco. I don't know what you're playing at. I'd go same formation, and I'd go.
I think the 5. I was going to quickly say. I think the 5 at the back.
Is a no.
I don't like it.
Not against Bournemouth.
Anymore. I think our best performances. I know. It worked with Chelsea away, but I think our best performances have been in the 4. That's what I would say at the back.
Definitely agree. Sander Berg and Lukic are going to need to have another unreal because their midfield is very strong, Bournemouth.
Yeah, smash them up there.
I think, if I'm being honest with you, I think I wouldn't change the lineup at all. Okay. I think you keep that momentum, you keep that team. You could make a case for putting Raul in Raul did score against Bournemouth in the 2-2 game. Had a very good game. Made Zabani's life pretty difficult. But I think I would probably stick with the same team, really. I mean, why would you change it? They just beat Liverpool 3-2. I'd keep Sessegnon. Don't see why he should be dropped. I'd keep Iwobi. Don't see why he should be dropped. You could make the Smith or Pereira case, but I think Pereira was pretty good against Liverpool. I'd start him again. Again, I think if you play well, you shouldn't just be dropped just for the sake of an outside factor. I think if that team on paper has done well, they should try and replay that into the Bournemouth game. So I wouldn't change that much, really. What would you say?
Yeah, and Marco Silva's made the fewest changes of any manager this season as well, isn't from game to game. Interestingly, McKenna, the weekend was the first time he announced an unchanged lineup.
Wow.
Which kind of shows the different approaches there. But,
Yeah.
I agree, actually, I think. With Raul or Muniz, I think it's either or, but Muniz will be full of confidence, sort of fantastic goal. I think he deserves a key place. I would like to see Josh King in the squad. I don't know where he's gone. He's not on the. I'm not saying I don't want him to start. I don't want him to necessarily come on. I just think it's a shame he's not featuring anymore. So
yeah,
it's probably. I don't have many critiques of Marco, but one of my critiques of Silva, he doesn't really play enough youth products. In my opinion, I think that's one of the best parts about supporting football team is seeing a young talent come through the ranks. He kind of does. He loves a tried and tested veteran almost, isn't he?
He does. He really does. I actually will say, John, just to flag up, in our 2-2 draw, we had quite an interesting formation. It was a 4-5-1. I don't know if you recall this. We actually had Castagna, Diop, Anderson and Bassi in a 4. And then our 5 was Wilson, Pereira, Lukic, Iwobi, Robinson, Jimenez up top on us. So quite an interesting line. I don't think he's going to do that this week. I think you can't start Diop. I know you love Diop, but you can't start Diop. It's got to be... I think the only change I'd make, I'd take out Castagna and I'd put Tete in. That's the only thing I think I'd do.
If he's fit. There's another thing I think it's really good news that Tete's back, because I think when you've got one player in just one position, even if let's say it's a striker or centre back, whatever, I think it puts not enough pressure on the other thing. I think healthy competition is always good. So when Castagna knows he can put in a stinker and his spot's still safe, I'm not saying he's thinking that, but subconsciously I think he must be thinking that. So having that competition with Tete brings the best out of both of them. Score prediction, Oscar.
Well, I should probably say if we're going to get battered, because after what happened last weekend, and then we'll win. 3-2 to Fulham.
Oh,
yeah. I think
ding dong.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a serious ding dong. I think Bournemouth will score first. I think we'll get back into it. I think it's going to be a late winner, a late Muniz winner. Let's go for that. It's always a nice little narrative. I think. I can't see it. I just think there's no way we're going to keep a clean sheet. I can't see that against Bournemouth. I cannot see it. But I don't think that they're going to keep it. I can't. I mean, as you just read out that stat earlier, I can't. Defensively, I think they're a bit whiffy. They've been a bit whiffy recently. Yeah. So I think we'll win 3-2. We've got to be positive. And if we do beat Bournemouth, that will be one. I actually think it will make the Liverpool result even better, because we've just followed it up with just another massive victory against one of our rivals.
Well, you know what I'm going to say, don't you? We spoke about it earlier.
Yeah.
Just bear with me on this one, right?
This is poor, by the way.
I'll read out our last, I think 7 results. Win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, win.
Yeah.
Who do we have in the next 2? We've got Bournemouth, who are below us in the table.
Yeah.
So we're going to lose that one.
Yeah.
And then we've got Chelsea, who are above us in the table. We'll win that.
But it could be a win-win, you see, John.
No, trends. So if my logic is correct, we'll lose. Let's say 2-1. We'll lose to Bournemouth.
2-1. Who's going to score for Bournemouth? Evan
Nielsen and Sessegnon will get one.
You think? Yeah, he is dangerous.
Who will get one for Fulham? Sess again. Come on.
Yeah, go on.
We'll lose 2-1, and then we'll go host Chelsea at the Cottage and we'll win that, and we'll keep this trend going.
Big time. Well, if we lose 2-1, I'm going to have to try and find a really sad pub in Bournemouth and have a really sad solitary pint to try and get over it.
That's slightly tongue-in-cheek. I think we've got a good chance of getting a result. I think a draw. If I'm being honest, I think a draw.
Would you think a draw is a good result, though? I think a draw would be all right-ish, but I think in the current climate of the season, just beating Liverpool with there's not many games left now, really. We're running out of games. And to really put down, I think for a psych, I mean, I remember this is quite a different dynamic, but in the great Man United teams, Paul Scholes used to say it's quite good to lay down a psychological marker on your challenger. And I think you go to Bournemouth, you beat them, you lay down a psychological marker of like, you're not getting Europe over us. That's what I think. Yeah. So I think a draw is like, oh, we roll into the next week. We win that, instantly sets on the marker. And actually, we head to the Chelsea game, and Chelsea fans will be thinking, Christ, Fulham are breathing down our necks, really.
I think, setting a statement for sure, and also capitalising on Bournemouth's poor form in the league. I think it's a great opportunity. But honestly, I was thinking about this. Bear with me on this one. Supporting Fulham, it's like being in a toxic relationship.
Yep.
Right? So like your partner will treat you terribly.
Mm-hmm.
They'll you think you're gonna leave them, and then they'll do a grand gesture, lure you right back in. That's what's happened with the Liverpool game. They lure me back in.
Just when you're about to send the breakup text, the flowers get sent, and you're like, okay.
Give him another chance. So it's been an emotional roller coaster. As we were saying, are we being too reactionary as fans? It's like, maybe a little bit, but I think we're just we're reacting to what we see each week, and sometimes we're against Palace, we're just like rubbish, and then sometimes a week later against Liverpool, we're amazing. It's just like really in and out. My passport's going in and out my drawer, in and out the sock drawer, like you would believe.
I keep glancing over. I'm like, am I going to get that ticket to Slovenia? What's going on here? Latvia, wherever we're going to go. But yeah, look, being a Fulham fan, I mean, as you guys will know, it's a hell of a journey. It's like being on a roller coaster. You have your absolute highs, and the next minute you draw to Ipswich, and you're thinking, for God's sake.
Wouldn't change it for the world.
Oh, no chance at all.
Oscar, you got anything else to add before we wrap up?
Absolutely not, mate. Just that I hope I have a nice journey to Bournemouth, a decent away day. I'll be looking forward to doing our pod fresh the day after.
Yeah, day after,
which is going to be very good. But I'm excited. It's been an amazing weekend. Really happy for Sessegnon. He's got to be the big talking point. Really happy for Marco as well. And we roll on Bournemouth.
Great, good stuff. Thank you as ever, Oscar. That wraps up this week's episode. As we mentioned, we're back next week, fresh off the press from that Bournemouth away game. That is going to be a big game, hopefully a good one. Mm-hmm. And then we'll be teeing up a massive game. Chelsea at home. Can we do the double over our South West London rivals? If you enjoyed this episode, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to give us a cheeky like, subscribe, leave us a little comment. We'll discuss it in the next episode. If you're listening on Spotify, 5 stars please, it does mean a lot. Thank you so much. Up with Fulham.